Hello and welcome back to another episode. Today is the day after the night before when I received something spectacular in the post. Pun absolutely intended. Last night around about 5:30, my lovely wife had just got back from work. She was resting. She's been feeling a bit ill, so she was having a lie down. And the doorbell rang. And 5:30 is a slightly odd time for the doorbell to ring. You know, later in the evening, could be friends visiting. Earlier in the day, it could be the postman. What was this? So I went to the door and was immediately greeted with this massive box. This huge Amazon box, which, frankly, was a bit of a waste of space because you didn't need this box, Amazon. It was massive. It was mainly contained brown paper. But anyway, this huge box, too big to really fit on camera, was what greeted me. And I was surprised. It was addressed to me. I can't remember ordering anything. I was like, okay, thank you very much. Signed the thingy. Off they went. And then I opened the box. And inside the box was a logo that I immediately recognised. Spider-Man's face was looking back at me. In addition to this was a note that read as follows. Sorry, I'm quite excited still, even though it's the next day. Hello, Mark. Thank you for your amazing videos. You're welcome. I really relate to your memories and love of Spider-Man, particularly your eye for detail in the 90s artwork. Now, of course, the 90s artwork is the artwork that I was introduced to Spider-Man with, and for my money is some of the best, especially the really intricate, anyway, the twisting motion you described Ben Reilly making as he vaults the chimney stacks of New York in your Stan Lee tribute video was spot on. Well, here's the clip of that for reference. But here we are with Spider-Man vaulting over a chimney stack on a rooftop, twisting his body gracefully, moving through the city. And this particular image just was so interesting to me as a child, and frankly today it's still just part of my psyche. Incidentally, I love this particular Spider-Man costume. I've always loved it. It's Ben Reilly. It's still, I think, in the aftermath of the Clone Saga, and part of that story. But I've always liked it with the web shooters on the outside of the costume, 2 red fingers, 2 blue fingers on his hands, and a red thumb. I've always loved that. So there you go. Comic books are art. Here's a little something for you to cast your eye over. I hope you like it. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Cheers and keep up the great work. Jay. Now, I don't know who Jay is. I suppose it could be J. Jonah Jameson. No, in all seriousness, I don't give out my address all that freely. And I've checked with most of the people who I know have my address, who watch these videos, and none of them have owned up to this. So I don't know who Jay is. Maybe he or she got the address from someone else. Okay, so that was the note, and then in the box was this beautiful diorama of specifically 1990s Spider-Man. And it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. The details on it are spectacular. Again, pun intended. And I particularly like the way that the costume has the webbing on the gloves and boots engraved in the mold. It's not just painted on. It's actually part of the Spider-Man carving, the sculpture. But specifically, what's so exciting about this thing for me is that motion. It is so reminiscent of the Ben Reilly pose that I talked about in that Stan Lee video, because that moment in that comic book lives with me. It is, as I said in that video, part of my psyche. And having this now in front of me is akin to having a little bit of my brain, made manifest. Thank you. so much. Thank you so much, Jay, for sending this my way. It is beautiful, and there are a few things in particular that I really like about it. First of all, there is what the bard of bardic broadcasts would call implied narrative. Spider-Man is in the middle of a vault. He's jaunting, propelling himself over this rooftop in New York. And we can see the discarded webbing behind him, where clearly, like a bungee cord, he's pulled himself up, from midair towards this chimney, and it's recoiled as he's let go of the webbing, and he's on the chimney and already ready to latch onto the next piece of masonry. He's mid move, and he's on his way from this space here to that space over there. And that sounds really obvious, but the sense of motion is magnificent. Now, unfortunately, when it arrived, the webbing that he's shooting had broken off, and so I have had to glue it on there. But that was actually a bit of a bonus, because looking at this statue online, and don't worry, I haven't gone looking in too much depth for how much it costs. Don't worry. That'd be rude. I haven't made too much of a note of that. Although thankfully it's not crazy expensive. But the other statues, the webbing isn't positioned the way that I've positioned it with the glue. You see, because it's almost there, but this here, I've been able to follow the line of the finger and extend the webbing out, almost as though he is reaching out, as all the best athletes and sportsmen and martial artists do. Their tool, their weapon, their sword, becomes an extension of themselves. And in this case, Spider-Man, as a circus acrobat like superhuman, has that intuitive motion as he's moving forward through the New York skyline. It's beautiful. It really is, and it is absolutely, as it were, my Spider-Man. The box that it came in specifically actually names it as 90s PVC diorama, and then goes on to describe Peter Parker, the bite from the radioactive spider, granted Peter Parker amazing Herculean-like powers, so on and so forth. Designed by Caesar, sculpted by Alterton, and it's from Gallery Diorama. This is, in the same way that Batman of year 2 and the sort of late 80s, early 90s is my Batman, the way that he's drawn, the blue and the grey, so on and so forth. 90s Spider-Man is my Spider-Man, and to have this is very special, and it sounds like you knew that I would feel that way. Thank you. So thank you so much. I suppose, just think in terms of this idea of casting an eye over the statue, one thing that does stand out to me as a little bit odd is the way that this rooftop isn't really reminiscent of a real thing, is it? Not really. I mean, in terms of the corners, that's too narrow for a building. It's not a big chimney, because there's a chimney on top of this chimney, and the number of pipes that are on there is excessive, and possibly also out of scale, really, with Spider-Man himself. So there is a criticism there. But that said, though, this is really just evocative of the New York skyline. These are shapes and forms and structures and architecture that we would see in New York, and it has that sort of gothic sort of feel to it, which is very appropriate, and again very appropriate for 90s Spider-Man. I also love the way that when he's facing you, sort of dead on, it's actually quite intimidating. I noticed last night because I spent the night with this on the coffee table, just looking at it. We were watching when my wife got up. We were watching a bit of Lucifer, and this was just staring at me. And I noticed that when he is coming towards you, it's actually quite intimidating. So there's also the invitation to either see this as he's charging at you, maybe like in a Doc Ock kind of battle, he's just been pushed off a building and he's come straight back at you, or he is passing on. He's rushing across the rooftops of New York, and he's ready to go to the next building. It is, again, it's the space outside this model, outside these sorts of dioramas, that's often so important to the story that we tell ourselves when we look at it. I love it. And it's already found pride of place. Sorry, well, I can't speak. Up on a shelf just up there. In fact, I recently installed new shelves in the office to make the best use of that wall, because basically it was a wall that wasn't really being used properly. I only had one shelf on there. So I just happened to have new shelf space that I was filling with stuff from around the house. But also now Spidey is there looking down upon me as I work. Thank you so much. Thank you. And there we go. I don't deserve this sort of stuff. I just don't deserve people sending me things. I'm always struck by it, and as a gesture, and also I guess as a thank you for the videos that I make. It's above and beyond. It really is. So you never have to send me anything. Anyone watching this, But this guy is just wonderful. And actually, it's also interesting because I don't know if you can see, but we have just here the Crow, Robocop versus Terminator, the Tyrant from Resident Evil. I do love to have a diorama or a figure that reflects my love of something, or of a game, a franchise, or a character. And this is perfect for Spider-Man. It truly is. In fact, it's even better than the Batman I have up there. The Batman came, well, it was with a friend's copy of Arkham City, and they let me have it because they didn't like it. I quite like it, but that's still not 90s Batman, is it? So this is just perfect. I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to stop yabbering on. Thank you so much once more for this. I feel like I've just won an Oscar. As ever, guys, until next time, do take care. Bye bye.